Professor, I just want to talk about the tensions now between China and India. This week, Narendra Modi came out saying that he will defend the country's border in that disputed Himalayan region, as you just mentioned before. In terms of the border dispute with China, could this potentially push India closer to some of Beijing's rivals?
Oh, absolutely. Look, this clash is in the exact place where China and India fought a war in 1962. They lost several hundred men on both sides. And it's about a long border. It's a dispute in a small area, but they have a border of 2,100 miles, which is a very large border. So there's always, and it's undefined. It's up in the hills and all the rest of it. Yes, and I think because of the pressure that China is putting on India, and keep in mind here, the Indians can give the Chinese a lesson here. You know, in the Himalayas, the Indians have the advantage in terms of manpower, expertise, aircraft, tanks, and all the rest of it. You know, Chinese are worried about other things in other parts of the world. So, but the Indians can do pretty well, and I think India will be forced more and more to turn to its friends. Its major friend now. They've made a major pivot to the United States. They're getting closer to Japan. The Japanese, I think, Prime Minister was recently there. And as part of this quad business, the quadrilateral thing, Australia is part of the four deals. So I think India will increasingly turn to Japan, the United States, and even to Australia, as they have these drills from year to year that they have an arrangement. And I think in the meantime, I think the Chinese will put a lot of pressure on Pakistan to put a lot of pressure on India. So the Chinese-Pakistani thing will mature a little bit. Now, what we're looking at is in 1962, all these people were going at each other, but they didn't have nuclear weapons. Today, all the players in South Asia have nuclear weapons. And an exchange of 10 or 15 missiles there, warheads, would induce the nuclear winter that Carl Sagan predicted in the 1980s, which would end agriculture in most of the world. So there'd be all kinds of hell to pay for that. That's why it's important, because they all have nuclear weapons. Will they use nuclear weapons for a border dispute? Not because they want to, but because it might escalate or accidentally move into that area. And the only reason that Modi says he's going to do something about this, because the opposition Congress party is all over his back to do something about this. I mean, those 20 men who were killed, they were killed with iron rods, for God's sakes. I mean, you know, they were brutally, it was barbarism. Yes. And so the Indians can't handle that. No. You know, and so they're going to have to respond. So Modi's going to have to do something. He doesn't want to go to war with China, but I'll tell you what, Modi is not afraid of war with China, and I think the Chinese would get a bloody nose on this, the way they did when they went to war with Vietnam after the Vietnam War, and the Vietnamese gave them a little lesson in military. So the Chinese military, they spend a lot of money on arms and all that kind of thing, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about people on the ground and how they fight. And the Indians are very good fighters, and they had a lot of experience in the past, and they're bunkered down in that part of the world in the Himalayas, and I think they're prepared to fight. Yep. And so the Chinese are going to have to be very careful about what happens next. We don't have to worry about Chinese. Chinese shouldn't be worried about us.
Yeah, well, look, it's certainly one to watch, an interesting territory between the two. Professor Joe Siracusa, I appreciate your analysis. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.